Welcome to Works in Progress, a new series by Wildworx where we take you behind the scenes and show you the everyday workings in a campervan conversion business. In this week's episode, the boys are going to be working between two vans, a transporter and a MAN TGE. We're waiting for a Skyline pop top to be delivered for this transporter, but there's loads of stripping out to be done in the meantime. This van was a combi, but it's been converted into a full campervan. Out go the seats and the seat bases to make room for the boys to work and give access to the electrics. Next up, we get to work removing the rubber floor, which will be replaced with sound deadening, insulation, and then finally a commercial grade lino to finish the job. Prepping the van is one of the most important jobs. A little extra work now can save a lot of repair work later. Roof bars are removed before any cutting begins. These will be going back on but mounted to the Skyline roof, as it's able to handle 60 kilos in weight. We like to start with a clean surface. Any dirt serves as a hiding place from metal dust, which inevitably turns to rust. While we wait for the pop-top roof to be delivered, we'll move over to the MAN. We're about 3/4 of the way through this build in this one. Stu's getting to grips fitting the fuel line for the Truma heating hot water system. He's dropped the tank and he's fitted a pickup line to the fuel sender. With the tank refitted, we can now secure the fill point back in place.
Yeah, so just mocking up what's going to go in the van. We're trying to separate water from electrics. We've got some of the bits that we're going to be putting in here. We've got the 240 consumer unit, 12 volt distribution unit. Inside this guy, it's just got the earth leakage and a breaker. That will be the supply. If you're on shore hookup, these will go up here somewhere like that. This is just a mock-up for the MPPT for the solar panel. It's about that size. This isn't the one we're using, but it's about the same size. So I'll go about there. This one here is the same as that, but it's a bit bigger. And then this is just my fuse box. It takes mega and MIDI fuses. So I'll have one big mega fuse, which will be about a 300 amp multi-plus, which will be going on this wall here. Also Victron. It's the inverter battery charger. So from the battery, it'll go through the fuse, multi-plus, and then all the other feeds. I've got 4 ways here, so I can put 4 MIDI fuses in there, ranging from, like, I suppose you could say 30 amps up to 80. Although I would never use all of them at 80. I only need 2 really, one for here and one for the solar charger. Under this hatch here, once it's in the van, this hatch lifts out. This straddles the wheel arch. We'll have the lithium battery going in this space. The space is a lot bigger than we need for the battery we're using, but you get rather large batteries, like up to 600 amps or something. The one we're using is not quite that big, but it would fit in here should you ever decide you want to do that. This unit over here will be fitting in this side of this grey van. It fits down this side. Battery will be on top of the wheel arch. Electrics against there. Boiler, all the water, all the pumps and everything, all the pressure vessels are all kind of separated by a bulkhead. And the bed goes over the whole lot, so I have a fixed bed in the back with a slide-up door. So if you need to get to anything, it's through the front of the van. You lift up the door, you can get to electrics, or you can come around the back, open up the doors.
Nice and easy.
Yeah.
Cool. What else is going on in this van?
So at the minute, obviously, we're busy running cables and stuff. We're running extra trunking. At the minute, we've only got 1 cable in that guy, but the battery's there. All the electrics comes from here. So we make all our trunking come to this area. Once the shower's in place, all this will be hidden away by the shower. It all comes out into the battery compartment. From there, everything goes obviously through the trunking. We've got cables coming out down here. This is where all the light switches and stuff will be. We've got a control panel which will be fitting in here, which will be controlling all the 12 volt stuff. We've got lights overhead, cam fitted on Friday. We've got these are LED strip lights. We hide the blind away as well. We don't stick the blinds on the outside. We stick the blind behind the panel, so when it's open, you don't have this big white frame sticking out. It was a bit of a fiddle to work out how to make it work, but yeah, it works quite well. Electrics wise, charging of the leisure battery. We do a connection to the van's battery, which is obviously charged by the alternator. It's easier if the seat's not in here, so I'll just unbolt all of these guys, take the seat out. And that gives us access to this fuse box. The Crafter and the Sprinter, I believe, are the same. That's the fuse box. And underneath this mat is where the battery is. So there's no battery under the bonnet. This is a cable we ran in earlier. 16mm square cable, which goes to the back, which will be connected to the battery charger, which then obviously goes to the lithium battery. This connection, you could stick it straight onto the battery. I say straight on, with a fuse obviously, inline fuse with this guy. We normally stick about an 80 amp fuse in there, 16mm cable. But in this case, underneath here, there's actually a fuse, another fuse box underneath. And inside this box, you've got to lift up this whole mat. It's a bit difficult to see now. But underneath there are actually spare ways inside that fuse box. I think one of them is actually like a 200 amp fuse or something. But we just normally stick our own fuse in there and then connect that onto there, so that when it's all back together again, this is all down here and it doesn't look any different. It looks just like factory. Yeah, that works out pretty well. Ground, we normally just pick a ground off the back of the van, because obviously this is common. The whole van is ground, so anywhere on the back, make sure we've got a decent connection. This over here is a switched live. It works off the ignition, so if the ignition is on, the CBE kit that we use likes a reference. It knows when the engine is running, essentially. We run this wire also to the back, and then we pick a fuse in this box, which will be switched live, so obviously only got power when the ignition is on. And then we just stick a piggyback fuse in there, pull this through one of these spare holes. Yeah, there's loads of space in there, obviously where relays and things aren't populated and stuff. And then we'll stick that in there. Obviously when we're done, we close this all up, and that's everything that goes underneath the floor.
Back over to the transporter. The roof's still not here, but there's loads to be getting on with. The guys left the van on the ramp. Cameron's busy stripping the plastic panels off the under the side of the van to give access to the underslung tanks down the line. Time for the real work to begin. We cut out the windows, which can be pretty scary for a DIY builder. Things have a habit of looking much worse before they get better. We use a nibbler to remove the window, but you could also use a jigsaw. A grinder with a flap disc is really good for cleaning up, but we wouldn't use a grinder to remove the windows of the roof. The roof's arrived just in time. We get to work unloading. This will be going straight on once the framework's in place. We start templating the roof. You can use the framework provided to help mark it out. We're almost ready to start cutting now. Probably another terrifying part of the build for a beginner, but as long as it's templated correctly and double checked, then everything will be great. Take your time, measure 2 or 3 times, and it'll all be fine. The main thing here is to make sure that your wiring harness is tied up out of the way to avoid any accidental damage. You don't want to have to resolder any wires once you're finished cutting out. If you are doing this yourself, watch the edges. They can be really sharp. Gloves would probably have been a good idea for Stu, but he's got hands like leather. Back over to the MAN. Our cabinet maker's away on annual leave this week, so I'm back on the tools. It's just edging some of the profile pieces that we've had cut from CNC. So we've applied a glued on edging strip with our edge bander and then just shaved down the width and snipped off the ends. Yeah, we'll go and see how they're getting on with this. Nice one. So we're at the point where the roof section is now being cut out. The edges have been ground back. These now need to be primed with some black primer. Cam's just put in the rear framework. So this is going to get drilled and riveted all across the back, and it'll also get a bead of sealant, a polyurethane sealant across the back there for strength. There'll be an equivalent frame put in the front here, and then we'll use all of these down both sides over the top here, and these will be bonded and riveted all the way down the sides. And this is going to make up the strength for the roof supports that we've taken out. The good thing about these is that VW crash tested these without the roof support in, so they cut a big rectangle out the roof and then crash tested the van, and it passed everything. So it means it's completely safe without it, but these give it the additional support to make up for the fact that you've taken some of the strength out the roof. Once all the polyurethane's cured and gone off, we'll then put the roof on, we'll fit the brackets down the side, fit the air pistons at the front, and then it'll be fastening down our canopy. Right, let's go and see how Stu's getting on the big van, just watch your feet on these metal bits on your way out. It's locked. This van's got a habit of it locks its back door. It's like you open it and then you close it and it's shut and it locks it. How do you know, Stu? We've got a separate shower unit to the basin, and then from the basin into the garage units. Our kitchen will start from here and sit parallel to the shower. There'll be a bulkhead will come across and meet onto this face here, which will then separate the garage from the habitation side. We've got a built-in basin, but rather than it just being a little corner basin that gets in the way while you have a shower, we build it into a separate compartment. When you open the door, you don't see it. When you step in and close the door, it reveals itself, and it means that it doesn't get in the way of your elbow room and what's already a very small, precious space when you're showering. Yeah, this is coming along nicely. Just had a delivery of 18-inch wheel face Overland 1400s. One of our customers is having some off-roading upgrades to California. Rear bike rack with Hess bars, spare wheel holder. It's having some laser lamp grill kit fitted. The roof frame for this T6 will actually get nutted and bolted onto the van with hardware. It'll also get riveted onto the roof skin. We are actually going to fit it with polyurethane sealant. Not only will this add to the strength, but it also stops any creaks and groans and rattles when you're on the move. How much flex is in the back of that panel with the hexagons?
With the hex, it a little bit, because obviously it kind of curves that way, but it's not too bad, because obviously when we push it back against the wall, but it's not perfectly flat. You can see that's not perfectly flat now. Once the screws are in, it's good.
Yeah, you just pull it in with the clamps.
Just need to make sure that it's square.
Yeah.
So I've got my pretend toilet, special device, so.
The lengths you have to go to try and keep the weight down. Seems like every van we build is getting heavier as we're making them lighter. We go to all the lengths to make them light, and then customers just want to add more and more and more.
They want more
stuff.
stuff, yeah.
I've just done a quote for a big roof pod, and he also wants a roof rack round about it.
It's fine if the van was empty.
I'm gonna have to work out how to not make it top heavy.
Right, can I get you to grab this on the inside? Drop it right down and rest it on that box down there.
Yeah.
I'll stick some screws in the back.
This is always a nightmare. See when you build something and then you realise that you've got the plastic film still on it. You take everything apart to pull it back out. You see how many people have forgotten it because they just run a blade down it.
So that's square there still. So just put one at the bottom, put one at the top, and then we do the other side. That should fit in this side.
Yeah, it can do coming in.
Yeah, if you can drop it down just above this cutout.
Yep, can come in about 3mm. Yep, that's it.
And check the top again, just in case it's moved. It's that tight. And just drop it down again, just to make sure the bottom hasn't moved.
We've got about half a mil. Knock it. Yep, that's good.
Now, toilet should fit in that gap with a small gap around it for the gasket. Yeah, we have to build this in here because obviously if we built this out on the floor, it wouldn't fit in the door.
Yeah.
So I did that the first time. We built it outside and then it didn't fit in the van. Let's chuck it over the back. So you should have about a 2mm gap on either side of the toilet. Should just go straight down, hopefully.
Yep.
And then all the way back. Yeah, and then the gasket fills that gap.
Perfect. And look at that. Bags of room for showering. Bags of room. You get two of you in here.
Yeah, one sitting down.
Yeah, come on in. Romantic. Happy with that?
Yeah, that's good. I'll put the rest of the screws in the back now. You can actually just put your knee against that so that corner stays square.
This is a bench style toilet. It's a cassette toilet, which means that anything that goes down it goes into a plastic waste box, which then gets taken out the side of the van. Some customers do ask us to build them with the habitation door on the inside, and so they just carry them through if they don't want holes cut in the side of the van. It's getting more and more popular now to have compostable toilets. They used to be a bit of a hippie-ish thing, but technology's come a long way, and everyone's very keen on the environmental impact. But yeah, they're getting much more popular. A little bit more expensive, well, they're about twice the price of a cassette toilet. A lot handier. You don't need to look for an L-sand point, which is great, much better for the environment. Easier to use and no smell because they now have built-in fans that take any smell out the van, which is handy when you're in such a small space. So that about wraps it up for this week's episode. Stay tuned for episode 2, that'll be coming shortly, where you'll be able to see these vans progress as they move forwards. Thanks very much for the support on our previous episode about vehicle weights that seemed to do really well. A lot of people seem to get a lot from it. If you like what we do, like and subscribe.